Well, hello and welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
what? We haven't been here in a few
It
weeks,
feels like it, yes.
I know.
but we haven't. It doesn't even feel like it. It is the truth.
I know.
Our feelings are real.
That's right.
For once, our feelings are facts.
A miracle. It's a miracle.
Well, welcome everyone to the very next episode. Want to thank our sponsor, excuse me, of today's episode, Jennifer Needham, is our sponsor for this week. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
She gave us a very generous donation. So thank you. To all of our listeners and all of our sponsors. We appreciate them so much. We make it super easy, whether you are an individual or a corporation or a business owner and you would like to be the next sponsor, we would love it. You can Venmo at Tova-Sido. Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
I'm so sorry.
Well, that's all right. Do you think, is your throat swelling? Mm-mm. Tova got stung by a bee and it's overtaking her,
God, it
her
really
body.
is kind of overtaking. I mean, I didn't know bees were so
They're mean.
vicious.
They are. They're venomous.
And I didn't know that. I learned that when I Googled it this morning, that they put the sting in you and it's the venom that explodes. And then if you're allergic, it grows for like 48 hours.
Oh my gosh. So when did you get stung?
Yesterday, I was playing golf with George and Craig, and George was like, "Mom, there's a bee." And it was on my inner arm, and I flicked it off. He was like, "Don't do that. Now the stinger's going to be in your
You
skin."
played golf during the Masters?
I know.
Goodness
know.
gracious.
But we had it live streaming.
Okay.
That was
You know you killed that bee. How do you feel about that?
Good.
I feel just fine. I actually stomped on it after I whacked it.
You know, this is, that's interesting. I read last week that the bee population in America is like at the highest point it's been in 2 decades.
Why?
Just because I guess people are woke to bees and how they're so important that they're just like, they're basically taken very well
Breeding
care
them.
of. Yeah.
Some people are like,
So why are they
want
so
bees.
important besides honey?
Because they
Pollinating?
pollinate.
Flowers and stuff?
Yes.
well, this little
They
effer,
pollinate other things besides flowers, but they're very, very
effer
important.
pollinated me.
If we lost the bees, we would be in big trouble as far as the food chain goes.
Seriously?
Yes.
That is so fascinating. No, well, my arm is killing me today, and I probably should have gone to a
You probably should have.
doctor. I know when I Googled it, they said if it's red, hot, or continues to swell, go to the emergency room immediately. And I got scared. I was like,
Afraid to find out the truth?
I'm kind of just going to work today. But
Well, if you need to stop,
yeah, we will. Okay, I really like our topic today. A dear friend of mine sent this to me and said he thought it might be a great topic for our podcast. And I was like, I read it while I was on a walk one day, and I was like, I love this.
good.
So the reason I loved it is it's based on a lot of research. So I always love research to back things up. And the research has been done with over 700 people have been followed since 1938. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
And the whole point of the research was to find the key to happiness. So we're going to make all your dreams come true today, listeners. This is the remedy of all remedies. How do
Except for the bee sting.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just start, if it's okay, by reading a little bit of the intro, and then we can talk about some of the things that they recommend for continuing this road to happiness. Okay, so it says, if someone asked you which of the following choices would make for the most pleasant train ride possible, which would you choose? Spending your commute keeping to yourself, or striking up a conversation with one of the unpredictable strangers in the seats next to you? What would your answer be, Janice?
Probably to keep to myself.
What about you, Tom?
I would say it would depend on if I've been drinking or not. Because if I've been drinking, I think I would be a lot more open to it. And if I was like not drinking and kind of more on the stony side of things, I would want to put my headphones on and not.
And check out a little bit.
It has everything to do with my levels.
Yeah. You're like, levels? That's hilarious. I think it would depend for me as well. I would be more inclined to keep quiet, but it's not because I'm trying to be the anti. It's because I just so enjoy like a nice quiet plane ride.
Well, and I get tired of talking.
And it seems like if you start, will they ever stop?
Yeah.
It's a risky proposition.
Yes.
Like I might just want to say, hi, did you have a good trip?
Yeah.
And then when it's time, that's a good thing about the AirPods now, though.
You know, one of the
AirPods on. I'm going to listen to a podcast.
Yes. Well, and you know, I don't like when I was flying overseas to Australia, and this woman sat next to me, and she said, "So, what do you do for a living?" After a while, and
Oh boy, did she want free therapy?
yes, the whole time. I mean, she
So I've
was
been having this
talking
problem with my teenage daughter.
Yes, and
So
my husband and all of this stuff, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, shoot me!" I finally just got my eye things on, and I'm like, I'm kind of ill. I need to sleep.
You know, I feel sorry for doctors at parties for that very reason.
I know.
That's why I tell people I'm a pastor. Nobody wants to talk to me.
It's like, I think I've told you about, I have this client, and he says when he gets on a
the
plane.
Bible? What does he do? He's got a Bible?
He has a Bible on his chest opened, and in his lap he's got a barf bag. And nobody will sit by him, and that's how he keeps people from sitting next to him.
I mean, that is freaking hilarious.
Bible in a barf bag. That is a country song waiting to be written.
It is. It really is.
Okay, so let's keep going, but it's interesting to see how we would answer that. Okay, many of us would choose to sit back with our headphones on because the thought of having to converse with someone we don't know is scary. It's not really scary for me. It's just not very appealing.
Yeah, I just tired.
Exactly. We assume the worst, says Dr. Robert Waldinger, a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. He also wrote a book, The Good Life. His book uses this question to illustrate how we expect social interactions to be negative based on the uncertainty that comes with connection. However, in a study from the University of Chicago, people who decided to strike up that conversation rated their commute as more pleasant than normal, ultimately surprising themselves. Interesting. We seem particularly bad at forecasting the benefits of relationships. A big part of this is the obvious fact that relationships can be messy and unpredictable. This messiness is some of what prompts many of us to prefer to be alone. But in The Good Life, Waldinger and Schultz distill what makes people find happiness from a study beginning in 1938 following the lives of 724 Harvard students and low-income boys from Boston in the world's longest scientific study of happiness to date. The ongoing study, which has expanded to include the spouses and the children of the original participants, consists over 2,000 people. And the researchers gathered participants' health records every 5 years, conducted DNA tests along the way, received questionnaires about their lives and well-being every 2 years. Roughly every 15 years, they met the participants in person for an interview. The researchers followed the participants' lives in hopes of finding the key to happiness and found that it wasn't, in fact, good health. One thing instead became irrefutable. Strong relationships most accurately predicted people's happiness throughout their lives.
I do agree with that it's the relationships that we have in our lives that really help to fuel happiness.
Yes, because
and I'm not that interested in sitting on an airplane and talking to somebody,
a stranger.
I just don't. I'm not rude.
Well, that's not lasting.
No, it's not lasting.
That's not a relationship.
Yeah, it's not.
It's an encounter.
But there are people who will. Like one time, Tom was flying on a plane, and I think they were going to London. And there was a guy, he sat next to this guy, and they talked, and they are very good friends now.
That's
and
amazing.
We've had dinner, Tom and I've had dinner with this guy and his wife, and they've been friends now ever since that airplane ride. And isn't that interesting?
That is fascinating. Well, Topher, my ex-husband, his 5-6 year relationship is from an airplane.
Really?
He met her on a plane.
Was he sitting next to her?
I just know I'm sure he was. But I just know they met on a plane.
That's interesting.
So yeah. I guess you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
But I do agree. I mean, it's no surprise to me that the relationships in our lives bring us what complete or make our happiness feel so abundant.
Yeah.
Because we both know people with a shit pot of money who are very unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, a lot of people think that if they had that, then they would finally be happy.
Yeah.
Or what are some other things that you think people think when I get that job or have that title or drive that car.
Yeah, or walk around with those shoes or those handbags. Yeah. I think that the relationship piece of it is so widespread that there's, you've got friendships, you've got work colleagues, you've got families. I was thinking about this happiness thing today, and I thought, what brings me the absolute most joy? And there were a couple of things that came to mind. One was hanging out with Tom and Buddy, the dog.
That's so cute.
I mean, it's really fun, and Tom throws a ball and Buddy goes and gets it. I mean, it's just fun. And then the next is being with my children or my grandchildren. I mean, being with my grandchildren is just, it's the most fulfilling thing I've ever experienced.
When you talk about your grandchildren, your energy completely shifts.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm nicer.
No, that's not it. But it's like you are mush.
I'm mush
with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're like there is an unconditional joy and love that just exudes from you.
Yeah, and it's even like Mia's soccer game on Saturday morning at 8:00. I got up earlier than I was going to and got ready and walked over to Armstrong to watch her soccer game. She probably touched the ball about 4 times, and I was so happy just to be there, just to be there with her, or when I go to Owens or Skylar, all of them have these activities that I get to be a part of by just watching them. And it's a depth. I mean, I loved watching my children also, but there's something magical about the grandchildren.
When you're watching your children, I mean, I don't have full adult children yet. My children are growing up, but they're still children. They're still under my care, and they need my money and time, and advice, and approval, and for some things. And I enjoy being their mom, and I love it. But there's still work,
responsibility.
Responsibility involved. And I think that what's so magical learning from you and other friends of mine who are grandparents, it's just like all you have to do is love them.
Yeah.
I wish I could just love my children and not get pissed at Carter because he spent $650 by April 11th and needed more money. I don't want to have that phone call. I just want to love him.
Yeah, and if they're your grandchildren and you pass out some money to them, it's a gift. You don't expect anything from those kids.
No.
You know,
Of
and
course not.
and it's just a level of just joy.
And you don't need to teach them anything. It's not your job.
No.
You don't need to teach Owen how to be responsible with money.
Not
your job.
It's not my job.
So there is something really magical. I really look forward to it.
I think it's so interesting because I think there are so many people who dread getting older because I think one thing is they anticipate dying. It becomes a little bit more real as you get older. And then, there's always the physical part of it. Are you going to be able? Tom and I were talking the other day, but I said, do you think we'll ever sell this house? And he said, I don't really want to. And I said, I don't either. The only reason we might end up doing it if we couldn't
upstairs.
go up and down this. If for some reason we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And so. But so when you get older, you do have that. But being first of all, your adult children are no longer your responsibility, which is a huge relief. And then you have the grandkids that's just joyful. So it's interesting how all of that happens. Do you think that God figured that out? Because knowing how we as humans were created, that we would not excitedly anticipate dying.
Maybe.
That it was just created for that. And then that whole generational thing that keeps going and keeps going and even if your adult children are, in a bind or something like that, it's not your responsibility to help, but you might choose to help some.
Right.
But a lot of times it's just like, okay, yeah, none of my business.
None of mine.
None of mine.
I'm just here to love you.
Yeah.
So, Tom, would you say that your happiness is rooted in your relationships? I mean, I know there's other things that make you happy, like golf
And music.
Yeah, absolutely. I really don't have any enemies. I pride myself on not really having any beefs with anybody, and
That does not surprise
it's
me
all
about you.
happy
No,
all the
me
time.
neither.
It's all happiness all the time. I love
Pretty
that.
much. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
That's
I don't-
good. That's
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
It is wonderful.
Well, you are an easy man to befriend and to enjoy because you're talented, you've got a great sense of
Interesting.
humor, you're interesting. Yeah. So, yeah. I can see that, Tom.
Yeah. You also have like you can tell you're very well traveled, things.
Yeah, he's sophisticated.
Yes, yeah.
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 I know things.
Yeah, which makes you're kind of like what is that word that I'm looking for?
Renaissance.
Yeah, well, for sure that. A Renaissance man, but I'm thinking of one that's like, I'll think of it. But Renaissance is close enough to the word that I'm trying to think of. Eccentric.
pretty funny.
Eccentric to me.
Well, and I also think that one of the things that you do, Tom, that I think is really fun, and I think it probably adds a ton to your happiness, is you make things happen. You have your guys that come and play poker, and you have a group of friends, and you go to restaurants, you go to music festivals, and by the way, Spoon's playing in Park City, Utah, so Tom and I are going there.
Oh, how fun.
We've been
When?
so
See
many.
Spoon?
Oh, we've been to probably 8 Spoon concerts. We travel there. We've been to Aspen. We've been to a bunch of
That's
them.
amazing.
I know.
It's one of the coolest things about you, I think, you and Tom. When is it?
I'm not sure.
I love Park City.
I know. I haven't been there in a long time.
It's a fabulous place. Okay, so this article has some suggestions for how we maintain these relationships that make us happy.
Yep.
So how do we continue to cultivate these in the world today? Some of these I thought were kind of interesting, but I mean, it's all rooted in research, so that makes it kind of makes it, whether I agree with it or not, it's rooted in research, or whether I would do it or not.
Yeah.
So the first one is work on your social fitness. Do you want to tackle that one, Janice?
Well, yeah, I think we get so wrapped up in our work and our families and all of that. And then I think a lot of people forget about the social aspect. And they're like Tom, my husband, is really good at maintaining connection with people that are in his world. And he volunteers. He's on the board of several,
things.
Yeah.
We can just say that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the philanthropic part, those things, that he likes to do that and he gets a kick out of that. Whereas a lot of it, he's leaving on a Saturday morning to have that board meeting. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to go.
So glad I'm not on the board.
But I do think that socialization is vitally important for our happiness factor.
Yeah. And in order to do that, you really have to be intentional about scheduling and making time for these touch points to these people. I mean, it is the most important part of maintaining a relationship is intentionally see. I mean, this goes down to even like initiating things in our marriages and in our relationships, all of our relationships, but with our children and with our girlfriends. I mean, the only way those things are going to keep going is if we really carve out the time. And it's hard. I mean, when you're busy and you've got kids and grandkids and games and
jobs.
Jobs, and it's really hard to, and then you have, 10 to 15 really close relationships that you want to maintain. That can be tricky, but it is, I mean, if we don't make time for people, it's not going to grow. It's like wherever you water grows.
Yeah, it's true. And it's so important.
One thing that I did with my kids that I think was one of the coolest, I didn't do everything right as a mom, obviously, but one of the things that I really loved that I did was I had a date night with one-on-one with each of my children every month from the time they were like 6.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think it's a fabulous thing to do.
Yep. Until they graduated. I mean, I would take them out. And even like, when Carter was home, Carter and Anna Prin were home last summer, like I made time to just go with them. And let me tell you, that's when the secrets come out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just such a special memory for your kids to have.
Oh, yeah.
Because one-on-one is really
special and hard.
It is very difficult.
Not for you, Tom, but I mean, if when you have 3 children, they're just talking at the table and they're all competing for attention. And I mean, I remember when my kids were little, they used to fight about who's going to sit next to me.
Uh-huh. They don't do that anymore. Shoot.
Unfortunately.
I'd fight for you, Tova.
Thanks, Janice. But yes, I mean, this seems pretty elementary, but I agree that making time, working on our social fitness is essential. Tom, you want to tackle use technology to your advantage? I feel like you would be good at this.
Use technology to your advantage. Technology can bring people together who wouldn't otherwise cross paths, like my mom and one of her best friends who connected in an online support group for those grappling with chronic pain. They now make an effort to have calls monthly and even travel to each other's hometowns once in a while. But technology can also dilute the image of happiness, capturing the luxurious and unrealistic highlights of people's lives. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's funny because I was going to say, it's sort of a double-edged sword. The social media is such a scourge. It's the cancer of society, but also
not dramatic
FaceTime.
At all.
Like FaceTime, we do this. My dad suggested about 2 years ago that the first Monday of every month, me and my 3 siblings and my dad get on a Zoom call at 9 Central every first Monday. And we've been doing that religiously. And it has been amazing. We stay on there up to 90 minutes sometimes.
Oh, that's really cool.
And does it have an agenda, or are you just shooting the shit?
We literally just all meet up and just start talking. Everybody kind of gets to update him on what's going on in their life, and we ask him about his life. Now, we still see each other every now and again, but in addition to our personal interactions or in-person interactions, we do this Zoom call, and it's really fun.
And it's once a month?
It's the first Monday of every month.
I love that idea.
I do too. I think that's great. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the really advantages of what's happened with technology is, used to you couldn't go to an AA meeting or an Al-Anon meeting or any of those 12-step programs because if you couldn't be there in person, you missed out on that. And now they Zoom them, and so it really, really, really helps.
Sure.
Yeah, it's really cool, I have to admit. And, I think he's kind of proud that he, at age 73 or 72, 73, he's very happy that he's like technology granddad.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Well, I think that what this article is saying, if we use it well, it is such a gift.
It really is.
But it also can be a difficult thing with all the technology.
Yeah.
And
make sure you have clothes on when you're doing the technology.
No doubt.
This morning, I was hanging out with Craig's mom, and we were reading Dear Abby. And I was reading it to her, and because we like to analyze what would our advice be. And this woman, 77-year-old mother-in-law, wrote into Abby because her daughter-in-law had taken a picture of her in a nightgown, and the mom said, "I don't want a picture of me in a nightgown." And she goes, "Oh, I promise it'll just be from your neck up." But it ended up not being her neck up. And somebody reached out to her and said, "Oh, I saw the picture of you and the kids on Facebook." And she was like, "What picture?" She sent a screenshot, and she was like, "I was in my nightgown." And she needed to know.
Was it see-through or anything?
No idea.
Porn Meemaw.
But I thought, oh my gosh, my kids have gotten mad at me. Do not post that. Like, that is a terrible picture of me, Mom.
Yeah.
Do not post that.
Yeah.
But whatever. I agree that I think there's some good stuff here. Okay, I loved this one. Cultivate the power of attention. It said one of Wadlinger's, sorry.
Waddlingers in.
That's exactly.
Each syllable at a time.
Whatever this guy's name is, one of his teachers said, attention is the most basic form of love. Giving someone our attention seems simple, but can easily be something we sidestep for more short-term mood boosts like a notification ding. So the most precious thing we can give to somebody else is our undivided attention, but it's so much harder to give these days. Stop, listen, give eye contact when you are talking with someone. I loathe when I am trying to speak with someone or have dinner with someone or connect with someone and they are constantly looking and picking up their phone or texting.
Oh, I just think that, why would you do that?
I think a lot of people do that.
Oh, that would be terrible.
I was trying to talk to Craig the other day and I was like, can you please put your phone down, sugar, while I'm trying to talk to you about this? And I was like, you're texting. And he's like, no, I'm not. And you know what he shows me? He's playing Wordle. I'm like, oh, that's so much better.
Yeah, that's really when you're snoozing.
I hate this on the golf course when I'm riding around in a golf cart with another dude and we're like playing golf. I watch every one of his shots when it's his turn to hit. But when it's my turn to hit, he's on his phone in the cart, and I'll hit some amazing shot and look over there and be like, "Did you see that? Oh no, you're on your phone."
Or what if it's where did my ball go? That would be my question.
It does help to have more eyes on it.
It does help to have more eyes on it, but it's just like one of those things where you're just like, dude, seriously, we're out on the golf course and you'd rather be on your phone in the golf cart, missing my amazing shots.
Bothers me too. But I have been guilty of that. That actually kind of really makes me think I probably need to be better at that.
Yeah, me too.
Because I can do that.
You know, one of the things that I need to be better at is, and Tom Gaunt will say,
"You're not listening." You have said that on this,
and I probably
right.
wasn't. He's right. You know, because some of his stories are long, and
well, if you shorten your stories, then I would have much better attention span.
but I mean, they're good. You know, he's got a wonderful speech. I mean, but I just get a little bit distracted, you know, and he'll be like, "Oh, you're not even listening." And I really have gotten much better at it because I know that it was. I mean, he didn't think it was funny. You know,
sorry, Tom.
But it is. I have worked on that because if you're talking to someone and they're not listening, you feel very discounted.
You totally.
I mean,
do.
it's offensive.
It is,
and I didn't mean to do that on purpose.
No,
never.
No, not at all. I mean, Carter and Anna Prin have terrible attention spans, and I can tell that when I am having dinner with Anna Prin, she's only thinking about what she's going to say next. And the last time I was with her, I was like, "Honey, that is something that you could really work on." Like,
did she hear you?
Yeah, she did.
Good, that's good.
But like, it is annoying to be with somebody who is not with you,
right?
Even though their body is there.
Yeah,
it's a really important thing for connection.
I think our jobs, mine and yours, Tova, helps that because we have to listen.
Maybe that's why at the end of the day you don't want to.
Yeah, I think that I think
because you're such a good listener in your office.
I mean that's what you have to do. Yeah. You have to listen.
Right.
You know, I'm curious. Do you guys use like the typical counselor / psychiatrist usually is writing stuff down on a piece of paper?
No, nothing.
Because that's how it always is portrayed in the movies where they're just sitting there with like this legal pad. And I'm wondering if there's doctors that have decided that they're just going to do it all on an iPad. That would make it so much worse. If I was talking to somebody and they were writing down something on a piece of paper, I would be like, okay, that goes with the territory. But if they were doing the same exact thing on their iPad, I would feel like they were not listening. Well,
and you know the reason why I did not write down things in my. I mean, if somebody I thought they were suicidal, then I would do that evaluation, and if that I thought anyway, I would note that. But the reason why I never took specific notes is because they can be subpoenaed in court, and that if people thought that I could be subpoenaed and I had written down all of these things that they had talked about, they wouldn't come.
You're saying the doctor confidentiality thing is negated by just writing something down?
Well, it would be. I don't know that it's
court.
If it involved court, but I don't think. I think that the medical can be kept from being. But as a therapist, your notes can be subpoenaed in court.
Huh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't write anything down.
I don't either. I remember more than I would ever think I would.
I know, I do too. I'm always kind of impressed with my memory, and I really appreciate it when somebody says, "Good memory."
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks.
What's my name?
But I do think it has so much to do with the fact that when we are working, we are truly very present.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't look at my phone. I don't look at my watch. I am fully present.
Yeah.
Okay, I think there's only one more suggestion. And I thought this one was really good. It feels really applicable to my personal life right now, don't be afraid to ask for help. Not because I need help, but right now, just Craig's mom fell, as you know, right before Christmas. And then, did I tell you, have we been together since his dad fell?
No.
His dad fell.
How old is his dad?
They're 84.
Oh, how did he fall?
He was working on his pool in the backyard, landscaping. I think he was actually trimming hedges or something. And he fell, and he was in the hospital. And so they've just needed a lot of help these last few months. And it's been really hard for them to have the help, accept the help, need the help.
Ask for it.
Ask for the help. I mean, I felt this at my accident. I mean,
yeah, I remember that. But I
couldn't do anything.
I know. And I can't imagine how difficult that was for you.
I couldn't shave my legs. I couldn't wash my hair. I could not take a shower. I needed help with everything. I couldn't get myself dressed. And it's really hard to need help. But this guy suggests that there are seasons in all of our lives at different points. Maybe you've just had a baby. Maybe you've just had a surgery. Maybe you're going through something emotionally.
Yeah. Maybe you're depressed.
Yeah.
Maybe you're having anxiety.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think we as society tend to be above needing help or not wanting the help, or we don't want anybody to know about our depression or our sadness or suffering. So we isolate. And this guy says, don't do that. Ask for help.
And I think people that do that will ask for help, I think the people from whom they ask for help would be thrilled for the most part to be helpful.
Sure.
Oh, I'm so glad that you asked me to do that for you. I'd be happy to whatever it is.
Yes. You know, my accident did teach me that. Like sometimes in life, you just need help. And
I mean, you needed a lot of help.
And my friends like you totally helped, brought me dinners.
You had so many people.
Fed my kids. I mean, it helped with everything. And I could not have done it without help. And so just accepting that there are times in our lives where you're going to need to call somebody for help.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're not going to call everybody for help, but you might need to call somebody.
Yeah.
And I think your point is such a good one, Janice, that if people have come to me and my friends and said, hey, I need your help, what could I do? Like, what can I do? I'd do anything for my friends. Yeah. So would you.
Yeah.
So I think it's an honor, privilege to help.
I do too, and I think that the reason why people don't like to do it is because they feel like they are dumbing down on a certain level, that it's like, I shouldn't have to ask for help.
Weakness.
I should be able to do that on my own. And yeah, there are just times when we need help.
We need help sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I'm really bad at asking for help.
I think a lot of men especially are really bad. I think it appears to your species as weakness.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, honestly, it's more about just being a control freak.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like if I've got like a to-do list of things I'm going to do like on a Friday before the weekend, I want all of these things done just the way that I want them, in the order that I want them done. And if Maureen tries
Bossy
to step
boots.
in, like if she knows that one of the things I was going to do was put away those groceries, like, I'll bring the groceries in, set them on the counter, then I'll run back outside and bring the trash cans in, and I'll come back inside and she's like putting the groceries away. I'm like, I was going to do that. I mean, that's like a small, like super not important situation or example of the situation. But I mean, I hate to admit that is exactly how I'm so like
wired to
control. I want to do all this myself. And I joke with her all the time. What's my rule? And she's like, you'll ask for help when you need it.
Well, there you go.
That's a really good point, Tom. That was, I think, really the thing that changed me about that was having children.
Yeah.
I just could not maintain the high level of perfection that I was interested in before I had my kids.
Yeah.
You just can't.
No,
Yeah.
I know. It is interesting, but I don't have any trouble asking Tom to help me do something. I'm not embarrassed about it. He hasn't had to, wipe my rear if I went to the bathroom or something, but it could be that one day. Hope
Sure
not.
could.
Really hope not. I'll call you first, Tova.
I will. I'll be there.
Yeah, right. It's a humbling thing to ask for help.
It is a
but
humbling
it
thing.
really is important, and I think that the people from whom you're asking for the help are honored to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe not the wiping thing, but
Yeah. Yeah. But everything else.
everything else.
Well, I loved this article.
Me too.
But
I thought it was really good.
And it is such a good thing to be reminded how precious our relationships are.
Well, and that these are the things that add to our longevity and our happiness in that longevity. Because I think about people that are in like an old folks' home or something, and they don't ask for help, or they don't socialize, or they don't do social media or any of that. They get so lonely and their lives are cut shorter.
Yeah.
Because socialization is really important for our bodies to be able to function.
Yeah. To be healthy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you have a great week, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.